Hi, I'm Mark Loftus, and in this post-podcast, I sit down with Austin Huffman, an automotive enthusiast who created his own brand of performance exhausts, Valvetronic Designs, and built a social media following of hundreds of thousands along the way. Here, Austin and his media director, Shane Rush, detail their early video work, how it's evolved over time, and what they've learned on their way to becoming social media influencers.
How we doing, Mark?
Austin, good to speak with you. How are you?
Likewise. Hey, this is Shane, my media director here.
Hey, Shane, nice to meet you too.
Hi there. Nice to meet you.
I appreciate your time.
Yeah, hopefully we can give some fun and exciting information to the audience about maybe how we did some things and how we were able to scale, just having a bunch of fun along the way.
Yeah, we're always interested in how the content is created, the tools that you use, obviously the online aspect of it. You're kind of learning as you're going as to what is successful, what works, what doesn't work, what do you take from the stuff that works, how do you grow that? So maybe you could start with just a little bit of a background. I know, having read your bio, how you got involved from an enthusiast and developing a product, but you want to give me like a 1-minute background?
Yeah, I mean, I can also tailor that 1-minute background more to some of the media type of things. So, if you will have read the story and maybe seen some other stuff, I started as a Lehigh University student, and actually media-wise, as I got started, Mark, I found that I had this cool idea, this cool product for this BMW 335 where you could have a controllable exhaust. The thing is I didn't have a big library of content to grab from. So what I ended up doing is just finding people on Instagram who had good looking BMW 335s that they would post. I would just download the pictures, repost the picture and say, oh, wow, like how good does this 335i look with this? And it would sound even better with a Valvetronic exhaust install. So I was just basically recycling the content that was available because I didn't have my own. With that as well, we started to get going, and we ended up gathering some followers and people were interested. And then the snowball begins of people who buy product. They go, oh, this is super cool. I want to show my friends, but I also want to show the online community about this cool thing that I spent my money on. And also, fascinatingly, our consumer landscape is very interesting because everybody wants to justify why they might have spent money on their certain thing, whether it's this desk, this computer, this car part, whatever. Everybody wants to justify that. So they go to social media to say, I spent $1,000 on this Valvetronic exhaust or 10,000, whatever, and it's great because. So that really helped us as we got going. People were tagging us in videos. We would reshare those. We would send those out to other people who were interested in buying the product. So the cyclical landscape of how content was recycled and then shown to a bunch of different eyes that are similar type of consumers, but different individuals was really fascinating. So I found
What year does that go back to? How far back is that?
This all started, the content thing, probably in like 2018, 2019. Because when I was a student, I was on campus, I had my car, and there's only so many ways I could skin the cat and showcase the same video of my car opening and closing the valve. So, having different cars with different colors and, those types of things really helped us showcase more equivocally that this product was something that you could really enjoy.
And was the social media aspect always with the idea of brand growth and sales? Is that what it was, that, hey, we're going to use the media to direct it towards product?
Yeah, because I think so many people, the enthusiast community didn't realize how important socials were going to be, especially even back then. Nowadays, everything is social based. We get our news social, we get all this stuff social. So, I think that we were right at the cusp where we could make the big gain, we could make the big jump by getting people enthusiastic over social media. Nowadays, it's very oversaturated with the amount of content you see. Even when I look at my own news feed, and I'm sure you can attest to this too, it's like all the videos have 40, 50 million views. I'm like, there's so many people watching nowadays that there's just almost an overabundance of content. But back then, you could really use the socials to get your brand going. And I'm not saying it's not possible nowadays, but you have a much bigger competition landscape than it used to be. 5.
What platforms were you targeting initially? Were you strategically?
It was all Instagram, and
It
then
was
I ended up hiring who is now my director of marketing, Brandon. We found him on TikTok, and because we were doing a little bit of TikTok as well, and so we reached out to Brandon to be a sponsor because he had this BMW E30, and we said, "Hey, like we want to sponsor you. You seem like you do cool stuff." And he said, "Well, instead of sponsoring me, can I have a job?" And like I'm in college. My business partner at the time, who's no longer with me, is also in college, and we're like, "Oh, this guy seems like a cool guy. Let's bring him on." And from there it was we ended up getting into the TikTok and doing like
Mhm.
more interactive funny content to show the personality behind the brand, that we were real enthusiasts but like younger guys like looking to make a difference, and that really helped us by having the different platforms, Instagram and
Mhm.
TikTok and Facebook and such, and trying to connect it all together, be involved in the forums so that we could showcase how specialized and cool our product was. It was a fun landscape.
Mhm. I've checked out your Instagram page and I saw that you have anything ranging from still photography to short clips. Were you shooting this on something as simple as an iPhone back then? Has your production obviously grown? Because I've
Well,
seen
that's
your
something
vlogs now on your YouTube channel.
most definitely. And I think you and I have discovered this. It's like we've found that you almost have to do everything, Mark. You got to have a little bit of short form. You got to have long form. You got to get people engaged to really watch and want to buy this is a fascinating thing. When people have a dream about owning a car, usually they will, in their head, modify that car before they ever own it. They'll pick the exhaust, they'll pick the wheels, they'll pick the rear spoiler, they'll pick the whatever. They'll do all that before they ever own the car. So what happens is if you put out a really good exhaust video, you're able to capture that enthusiasts excitement factor, and then maybe 2 3 5 years down the line that video is still on YouTube and they can search for it and the thumbnail is still the same, and they can
Mhm.
go, I remember watching this video when I was 20 and now I'm 25 and I can afford this car, I'm buying it.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
Shane can attest to the
Yeah.
point that like you have to do every type of content, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as for Austin's personal channel stuff, the vlogs that you were mentioning, we found that it gives it more of like when you're on YouTube and it's a personal thing, you want to have more of an experience where you feel like you're friends with the person. So we found that using stuff as simple as an iPhone is really friendly for that aspect because you can walk around, you don't have to get a huge camera rig or anything like that. And then it also makes it super simple with AirDrop, etc. So filming and editing those videos is quite easy, and additionally it's quick content that we can get out and people feel like they're a part of something. Now as for the Valvetronic, when we started way long ago, it was also iPhone clips,
Exactly.
super simple. But what we found is that in that exhaust market there was not a lot of information, so that was something that we way early on wanted to make sure that every single sound characteristic that this car or whatever exhaust system that we're filming could make, or a situation that an owner would be in, is filmed and showcased. So people have the information. Like Austin said, they'll remember this and be able to reference it whenever, because YouTube is forever. Unfortunately, with the short form content,
It gets lost.
it does get
Yeah,
lost.
you
And
lose
it's
it.
like, having the long form content dialed high quality is the most important thing for us, for sure. But we
I've no,
utilize,
I was
sorry,
going to say I've
sorry to
noticed
jump
on
there.
the
Yeah.
short form and even on the Instagram stuff. Obviously, it's a vertical format versus horizontal, and then you get into your vlogs, and the vlogs are horizontal. What are you thinking as far as aspect ratio when you're going to create a piece of content? Or you're like, well, it's for YouTube, we're going to do it this way. If it's Instagram, we're going to do it
That's a
something
really,
else. Or are you
really good
just
question.
carrying one over to the other and making the best of it?
Yeah. So what we've found is that you're able to repurpose a lot of things, especially when you're using a camera of very high quality. So we have one Sony FX3, we have two Sony A7 IVs, and those are the cameras that we utilize for a lot of our YouTube shoots. And I actually brought one of our little setups here. We don't have a lot of room here, but you can see we have our nice tripod, we have a 24 to 70, a monitor, and the nice little arm for it as
I
well.
mean, that's professional equipment. That's beyond an
Yeah.
iPhone now. And what are you using for editing and graphics and stuff like that?
So for graphics and stuff, we have a team of people who do all of the graphics, etc., logos, and all that. We use Photoshop. We use pretty much the whole Adobe suite. So
Adobe.
primarily, we're using Premiere Pro for the basic editing, and then if we got to dive into After Effects for some 3D effects or some smoother motion on some of the pan shots, that's what we'll end up using. But it's pretty much the full Adobe suite.
Is this anything you anticipated when you start a channel like this, that all of a sudden, hey, I've got to up the camera, I've got to get Adobe software suite, I've got to start working with graphics? You've become like a media company there beyond just a personality and a product developer.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, when we first started, I mean, we had very,
It's
basic.
very grassroots. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
I would just say, I'd be like, get the content out, get the iPhone, like film.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't matter. But also too, we did have, before Shane joined the team, he's still with us. Phil was he was in our customer service department, but he loved videography.
Right.
So I would pull him from his desk when we would go out and shoot a car. But we were extremely unorganized, driving really quickly on the roads. Maybe not the safest thing to do, but it was that time where it was like make or break. We were in our small shop. We got the cars in. We're getting people excited. We're doing this really cool kind of cutting edge stuff. And Phil, fortunately, was into photography. So he would, I don't even know who would edit those videos. I can't even remember. Anton would edit the videos. Yeah. And yeah, so we had a good camera setup. I think, what does Phil have? Like,
it's an A7 IV, yeah. So since he's been into he's been into the photography and all that stuff, right immediately when the A7 IV came out, he had gotten one, and that's what they were shooting with, and had some nice lenses as well. But at the end of the day, the color grading was a little off. That was like still a learning curve. This is back 2021, 22.
Yeah, definitely.
So
isn't it amazing how much color grading can improve the quality?
Oh, it's fascinating. Yeah, I mean, I look like when we color grade the vlogs and I look super crispy, I'm like, yo.
It looks nice. Yeah, it does make a big difference. It's a bit more work for sure, but even with a lot of the new AI features and such, it's definitely getting a lot easier. But just raw color grading some footage is one of the most enjoyable things that you can do in the media.
I thought it was interesting. I saw a couple of your videos. I think one of them was on YouTube. It was like the $2 million Carrera versus the $10,000 Boxster and stuff. Is that kind of the strategy, that just these interesting face-off type videos, or is that just something that happened by chance that you had these availability to these two cars? What is the strategy when it comes to creating beyond product content?
Yeah, I think so. This is when you think about why people will get involved in certain industries, buy certain things, or want to be involved in certain circles, whether you're investing money or you're buying a product, people want to buy and do business with people they like, people they can relate to. So one of the things is I've kind of had to be a shapeshifter a little bit, whether it's appealing to Ford executives to get a Ford exclusive deal, or younger fans that are 15, 16, or just love cars, who whether they speak English or not, or they're from a different culture, different religion, whatever. Like, cars bring people together so much.
Mm-hmm.
The strange thing is I'm in a very unique position as a young man to give people a window into what is like my dream existence. And I love being able to showcase the content in that way, because what a wacky question, right? I remember I used to ask my father, like, so what would happen if we went over the curb, or the car fell apart, or the trampoline we're jumping on broke, or a burglar broke in? Like, I would always ask these random what if questions when I was 5, 10, 15 years old, however. But then I wanted to ask myself the same questions, but I have the resources to show the answers. So that Carrera GT is like a $2 million car, or $1 million car. And like that Boxster is like a $10,000 car. But people look at the lens of what someone's life is like through maybe the things they can afford, the girls they're around, the business they own, the watches they wear, whatever. The thing is I like to showcase that even though my life is relatively glamorous, it doesn't make me more special or better than anybody else. So I love to showcase, like, I have this very cool, expensive car, but you can get the same experience, or very close to it, for this amount of money. because money at the end of the day is a tool, and I love to be able to showcase that regardless if someone has more or less than you, it doesn't equate to happiness. And that's why I love doing these videos. Like, oh, we'll probably do another one. I drove my $1,000 Mazda Miata today. And like these other really expensive cars I have, they sit in the garage because I just love the experience of driving something that I have such a tactile familiarity with. It's very fun. So showcasing that on YouTube makes me very likable, fortunately, which is great, but also gives people a window to go, this guy is real. And I think a lot of times nowadays with the streaming and the content and the OnlyFans and all this stuff, no one's real anymore. So that's what I try to showcase. And Shane helps me do that.
Yeah, and I noticed that you had mentioned some of the customers. They start posting content and tagging you. I think I saw an Aventador up there where somebody was commenting on how great it sounds and stuff. So there's kind of that benefit that once this exhaust is installed, you then have that person that may be creating content and helping with as a brand ambassador almost.
Yeah, so the UGC side of things is honestly huge for Valvetronic. Even if you go through our tagged post, you'll see people love their cars, as Austin mentioned earlier. And they have this dream and they build that out. So UGC is massive, and that's honestly, a huge part. Our sponsors for Valvetronic, it's a huge part of the success, especially the early adopters, people who helped us take the content, take the product and just move it, get it out there, And like I said, YouTube's forever. So all of the early adopters, we actually have a plaque downstairs with a bunch of our early sponsors that are, going to forever be in our HQ that we appreciate that much. So
yeah, also too, we find that you have like your sponsors and some of the stuff that do stuff, but also, again, going back to the beginning of this conversation, if somebody buys something, they want to justify how cool it is, why they're on the cutting edge, et cetera. It's like it's an ego complex for people. So if someone buys an exhaust for their Aventador or their Porsche, whatever, they're going to do their own content, at least we hope, to showcase that if that's part of their personality. So that ends up allowing us to have this massive library of content and show people too. By the way, this is not unique to our exhaust business. There's a company called Gintani and there's Secret Weapon Fab and R1 Motorsports who do this job even better than we do. So we look up to them in many regards to showcase. But Valvetronic is unique in the market because we actually have the ability to fulfill the items. A lot of these other companies, which make some of the world's greatest products, in many cases better than ours, sometimes we have a lot to learn. What happens is they get so much enthusiasm, but the products are 10, 20, $25,000. People can't afford them. So it's this pie in the sky idea. So what we tried to do at Valvetronic is to engineer the best experience we can, but make it accessible and attainable for people, not necessarily on a cost basis, because money at the end of the day is a tool for a lot of people. It allows them to say, hey, you know what? I want this sound. Gintani is offering it for me 20,000. Ours is 15, but I can get it tomorrow. And that's the big thing. The business model doesn't work small, it doesn't work medium. It only works large. And that's why it's taken us, 6-7 years to get to where we are. It's because the scaling process takes time. And although we look very young, there's I have lots of gray hair because I have so much learning to do and so many
on the content number side, it's always amazing when a video takes off and you have videos that have 1,000 views or 100,000 views. What do you learn from something like that as to why one video takes off and one is slower? Like, because everybody wants to kind of strike gold when they post a piece of content. And have you learned anything that you would share? It's like, hey, there's a time of day to post it. There's a topic that's better suited for some, reaction over others. There's stuff that fails more than others. Like any kind of like feedback that you could share?
So the biggest thing is it kind of ties back into what Austin was saying earlier, is that there is such a huge influx of content. Everybody's posting everything. And at that same time, people's attention spans are dropping drastically. So as you're scrolling through social media, the biggest word of advice that I can put out there to people who are, looking to be an influencer, content creator, is for the short form stuff, you gotta hook the viewer. Within that first, it used to be 3 seconds. That's what I learned. It's gotta be within the first second and a half now, where you have something that's like, that happened in the video that you could put it at the beginning and really, the most important part that you think people want to watch for, throw it at the beginning. It'll hook them, and then they have to wait to watch it. That's the best way to increase your average viewer duration. And at that point, Meta or TikTok will see that, and people are watching it for longer. They're going to push it out to more people. So it's all about
where are you based now? I know you have the reference to Boston. Are you still there, or have you moved somewhere else?
No, so our facility, we're in Pennsylvania, so we're based a little bit north of the Pottstown area. It's a place called Boyertown, Pennsylvania. Small town, but it's a great spot for us. We love the community. The community does a lot for us. We sometimes have events and such here. But because we're kind of out of the normal metro area of like Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, it allows us to, have nice roads, be able to showcase the cars in a clean, safe environment. I see a lot of companies and stuff. They're in California. They're in these places where there's, you got cars and people and you got stuff everywhere. So we like kind of being out here in the quote unquote middle of nowhere because if you're on a back road, you can go a little bit faster without knowing you're gonna, put anybody else in danger. So it's
how many people do you have working on the media side of thing as far as shooting, editing? Is it a handful? Do you have facility space like within your offices there?
Yeah, so we actually have about 5 people now that's a part of the media and marketing team. So it's not very large.
Well, that doesn't even include contract.
That contract work, so we can count 7 there then.
Yeah, it's that's a good amount.
But at the end of the day, actually, it would be around 8.
Yeah.
But although it's not a large team, everybody is extremely efficient and they're extremely knowledgeable in their, exact fields of what they're doing, whether that be graphic design, video editing. So everyone moves at a very quick rate and they're very efficient, but they're also very good and it's high quality stuff.
Yeah, it's good and bad. Like I enjoy spending time with Shane. We love making the videos, but when we're working throughout the day, he's cooking. I don't see him because we're hustling. So that's one of the things about if anybody takes a big chunk from this of what I communicate in this regard is if you're going to be part of the Valvetronic team, we demand excellence, whether it's on the floor in terms of installs, how we shoot the content, how we will interact with our customer services. We just demand excellence in all regards because it's my duty. It's my duty to not lose to him and to everybody else who works for me. And like, I won't. And so that's how it goes is we just have to demand excellence in all regards. And we're hyper efficient with what we do because if we're not, we're second class and that's not who I am.
Yeah.
Any plans for the year ahead as far as different content that you're working on or new equipment that you might be adding to up your game or?
Yeah. So, like I said, FX3, we did get that on order, so that's excellent. So now we have that FX3 coming in. Additionally, a more, a larger project is going to be a full studio build out for these cars. So that's going to be something that's really exciting. Without going into too much detail, it's going to be a full car studio so that we can really properly showcase and introduce these products and showcase it to people in the best way possible at the highest quality.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And also too, at the end of the day, when it comes to content, and I know Shane will reiterate this, you just have to post and try. A lot of times, like my page is successful because we just posted stuff. Like you find a content style and you sometimes have to morph it and such, but I've found that I will let outside people like kids and stuff, I'll let them do video shoots with my car. But the rule is this, is if the videos stay in your camera roll and don't get posted, don't ask me to ever do a shoot again. Because if I'm going out of my time in my day to let you shoot, whether it's a Lamborghini, Porsche, Ferrari, those clips need to be posted because there's some value to the business. If they're not, I'm not interested. Because so many times people think, oh, like I got to edit this, I got to make it better. No, you have to post. If you don't post, you're out.
Yeah,
that's
got it.
Some of the biggest things that I've learned is that if you're looking for anybody who is listening in on this, if you're wanting to be a content creator, influencer, everyone can do it. The only thing is that you need to be instead of consuming all of the content, you need to be producing content more. That's the biggest thing is I can't sit here and scroll on Instagram all day because that gives you the dopamine hit and, you know, all that. But if you are producing more than you are consuming, you're going to win.
Yeah.
Got it.
Too, then the other side of this as well is to remember that when you become a real content producer, you must be comfortable with the fact that you will always have, if there's a moment in your life when you go, wow, this is really cool, instead of enjoying it yourself, you're going to go like this to go and film it so you can showcase it to others, which puts a dampener on life a little bit. It's pretty interesting, but it's the trade-off. Like I do a lot of social media influencing. I'm going to go to Miami F1 and stuff, and I'm very excited. I know that I will have to look back at the content to remember what I even did. It's because when I'm there, I'm so dialed in on showcasing the experience. It's fun, but it is work. So don't think, yeah, this is easy. It's, you know, it's, if you want to be the best, you want to be very good at what you do, it doesn't come easy.
Understood. Thanks again for your time. Really appreciate the insight. Nice speaking with you.
Sir.